Hey gang, it's Saturday the 2nd of October, and of course Chicago is #1. He's still here across the street from Porto's. This is becoming more and more common amongst our neighbors, is that people put out their junk thinking that it's treasure and somebody wants it. So what they do is they just toss it out on the side of a building somewhere. This is occurs all the time. And it just clutters up the neighborhood, and they just throw junk. Some of the stuff they have, it's just so cheap to buy brand new. Nobody's gonna pick it up. You know, like chairs, you can buy that stuff on Amazon, and they come in a box, and they're just super cheap. Headboards, luggage, folding tables. I bought a folding table, brand new, for $40. I would never pick a junky one up that could be broken. So it's just trashy people. Okay, this is number 2 we have. It's the plumber. He's still in Magnolia Park. The plumber has decided to take up shop at this side of the boulevard, and now you can see why I call him the plumber. He has a distinctive crack hanging out. This is Valley and Magnolia. Put this in context. I always see the Burbank buses completely empty, but that's not true about the Metro bus. But the Burbank buses are always empty, and they cost us millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Anyway, the plumber is still in Magnolia Park. I'm gonna keep looking and see who else is out here tonight. Keep moaning about this because it's like ridiculous. And what blows my mind is that nobody from code enforcement has actually come here and said, hey, you know, Morrison management, you know, you can't hog up the entire neighborhood with banners, and this just isn't up to code. You got the whole building is covered in signage. There's a reason we have standards in our city, and there's a reason that the ordinances were made so that we would have a nice looking town that wasn't like Times Square made to look like this trashy signage. You know, have a little class, and, you know, run your business classy like, not like this junk. All right, so Morrison, get your act together. City, please do something about this. Isn't that a public right-of-way that's blocked by Porto's? They put cones up on a public right-of-way. Obviously, I'm not making a left turn in there, but what if I wanted to make a right turn in there and they're just hogging it up? They ought to have an employee who manages that alley to keep people from standing in it, and they should open that up. Do you have a permit for that? Let's find out. We're gonna ask the people at the city. All right, this is probably the most people I've seen at Whitnall Highway Park South. But you notice that people are hanging out and reading books and stuff. You know, no, I think the lady is smart. She's on a towel, the guy's on the grass. I don't think he realizes that dogs and probably homeless people are peeing on the grass. But what boggles my mind, we're in a city with 42 parks, and they're trying to build more. And you have all this thousands and thousands of square footage, thousands of square feet of useless space nobody's using. Why don't you put some pavers on the perimeter, you know, enclose these trees, the grass around the trees. It costs a fortune to mow this stuff. Put some pavers. This is kind of fun. They're having a ball game. This is neat. Put some pavers around the trees and around the perimeter, and put up concrete picnic setups. You know, concrete picnic table, concrete chairs. You know, they'll last forever. Not metal, because that doesn't last forever. You know, you get concrete stuff, and people will come and have a nice time, and you have double the park. I mean, this is kind of cool, but it's more appropriate to do that across the street from where the apartments are. People just come out and have a quick lunch. So I'm right here by the back parking lot at Porto's, and the Walmart shopping cart remains here. And I just saw one of the Porto's employees just sitting there. But Porto's has blocked the right-of-way here, and they just put up a cone. They do this every day. So of course, you know, local people that want to use the alley can't use it. It's just become another piece of Porto's property. Hey gang, so here's the next person. She's got herself a shopping cart as a table, and this is the fourth one, sorry. Actually, I don't know if he's homeless or not. But the lady certainly looks homeless. Let's see. Nope, I think that was it. So I'm going to continue on downtown. So I'm coming down here. This is BWP. And, you know, this is the weekend. The guy's probably still here. I've got, the tent is still here by Americold Logistics. You know, this place must be out of business because you can just tell what a crap hole it is. They obviously sold the building. No wonder homeless people are just showing up at the scene because there's nobody here. But you would think that, you know, the people over at Swainer Hardwood would do something, you know. And actually, this is Aries. I think this is Aries. Yeah, I think that's Aries prepared beef, isn't it? So anyway, you know, the people around here just come about and they come and go, and they're just ignoring everything. They don't actually, you know, they're not actually taking the time to check out what's going on. And then you've got the guy down here, still here, up by the wash. I guess I call it the wash because I figure all the wash goes out there. The water goes out there during the rain. But he's still there, hasn't left yet. And some guy in a fancy car just drove by, probably checking me out. Checking me out, I'm checking him out. But you would think they'd get these folks some shelter by now. I mean, somebody take care of these people. They're literally right across the street from BWP. Okay, so now I'm gonna head over to San Fernando and do my Parklets survey. Hopefully this lady doesn't pull out in front of me. But I'll do my Parklets survey and see what's up with that. So this is, you know, this is the time of day when things should be pretty much popping off. You would think it's the beginning of the weekend, right? Well, that was probably Thursday's the beginning of the weekend, but it's about 6:45 at night. But there's not an ocean of people. Like usually you would think there'd be an ocean of people. So I'm doing these Parklets videos at various times of the day, just trying to, you know, different times of the week, just trying to get some bearings on it. All right, so here we go. First on the Parklet on the left. All right, so it's not totally full, but pretty busy, okay? I'll admit. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 spaces here. You've got one group of people hanging out. There's still quite a few, you know, there's quite a few spots where people could park. I'll wait till the light changes and I'll continue. But, you know, it's not really that busy. I think these two Parklets here are quite busy. But why don't they have tables on the other section on the right-hand side? Why aren't there more tables? You'll notice that all the parking is occupied. So there's definitely need for more parking. You know, the folks that live down here, you know, they're always yelling and screaming at me for doing these videos. You got all this space here and nobody in them. 2 people in this huge Parklet on a Saturday night. You know, back to my statement. It's not worth the juice, isn't worth the squeeze. Okay, over here you've got people seated. You got 1 parking space. That's kind of cool. I'm going to grab that parking space and finish this up because I could use the parking space. I was going to go buy some pastries. Gotta have pastries. Just went downtown here and got my croissant and my very fancy pastries. You know, someone who actually lives at Avalon, I know his neighbor was, you know, crapping on me on myburbank.com about my complaints about the Parklets. And I said, you know, I told him, I said, you know, I'm aware you live downtown. Of course, you don't have to worry about parking. But I just talked to the merchant. Something really interesting just popped up. I totally now know why the Parklet's empty. Well, we have to apply for a permit to use the Parklet for seating. So this is the most boneheaded thing in the world. You got all this space open, consumed by the Parklet, and the person can't put seating there because he has to apply for a permit. No wonder everything's so backward. If that's true, how does that make any sense? If you're going to put the Parklet in, why didn't somebody just put seating in too at the same time? this is the kind of, boneheaded nonsense. You take up the parking and then you force the merchant to apply for a permit to get the parking, to use the parklet for the purposes of seating. It's interesting. I'm going to make a U-turn here, and then I'm going to continue the review of the parklets. All right, so over here we've got the next parklet, which is in front of Knights and India's Tandoori, and there's a good amount of customers here on Saturday night. So this is the first time in all of the drive-bys that I've done where there's actually a good number of people here. There would be a good case for just taking half of all the parklets out for the moment because they're not busy all the time. But that new information about, it's, what has it been? We've been basically shut down for 2 years, having the COVID for now, March, year and a half. I mean, it boggles my mind that the guy says, well, I have to get a permit to put seating out. And I'm like, this is interesting. And it's sort of the curiosity is more curious and more curious. More curious and more curious. So anyway, I'm going to come back around and see what there's a parklet on Palm, which is right by the sushi place. We're going to take a peek at that here in a second. I'm just going to pause and I'll come back to it. Okay, folks, here we go. All right, we're going to take a look at the right side. There should be a parklet by the sushi bar, and it's got about a third. It's about a third full. Half this parklet is not used. And I'd say, if you brought this down to like 50% of its current size, and I'm sure that the reason why this parklet over here doesn't have any people in it is because there's nobody there to apply for a permit. Why don't you just open it back up again and let people park there? It makes no sense to me. At least half the parklets are not completely, I would say 50% of the parklets, 50% of the seating is not used on all of the parklets. Okay, so they said that they talked to, first of all, they're talking about Chicago, and Chicago refused service. It doesn't surprise me. He's got a good thing going there. He can smoke his weed in public, and nobody's going to hassle him for some reason. And so he's smoking his joint in public, which I saw him do yesterday. And then you've got the plumber, that's the man on Valley, and he says he's interested. Well, that's interesting because the last time they spoke to the plumber, he was quote-unquote hostile and refused service. So this is interesting. Maybe he's just yanking on their chain, but we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll actually get into a shelter. All right, so Jesus is here again. He's across the street from AutoZone. I'm just rolling up the windows because I don't want to be too loud. But anyway, he's here. He's got multiple Coke cans. He's mixing alcohol and Coke. That's why he's here, Coca-Cola and alcohol. But he hides the bottle, but he's right by the liquor store. Anyway, he's been around since 2016. He refuses my help, does not want assistance. I don't know why, but I'll call it in again. I'll call it in again. Folks at Street Plus are going to help you. So you've been drinking tonight? Is that what's going on?
Not too bad.
Is that why you're by this liquor store over here?
I did have 2 drinks, but nothing.
Okay, well you got a lot of cans and mixers here. I guess maybe you want to put those in the trash can. What do you think? You had a couple drinks. Okay, are you doing any other drugs?
No.
You're just drinking? Okay, well these folks at Street Plus are going to come around and offer you a shelter. Are you going to say yes? Because I've been talking to you for about 5 years now.
Yeah. I've been to one of those.
Okay, you've been to a shelter. What happened?
I accidentally walked into someone else's room.
Okay, you walked into someone else's room. Okay.
So I was asked to leave.
Okay. Well, when they offer you help, I'd like to recommend you take it. Okay, because I know you've been on the street here for 5 years. The first time I saw you was 2016.